and welcome to the News Beat on Green Grit TV. The headlines. U.S. President Donald Trump suggests takeover of Gaza Strip following the massive destruction from the war-torn region. And in a backfire reaction, Al Green moves to impeach Trump over the Gaza remarks. And in an unfortunate incident, 17 students died from a fire outbreak in Zamfara State, Nigeria. And in sports celebratory mode, Ronaldo turns 40, declares himself the best soccer player ever. We have details of that in a moment. Please stay with us. President Donald Trump has proposed that the United States take control of the Gaza Strip and permanently relocate the U.S. residents and the Palestinian residents, rather, a suggestion that was swiftly rejected and criticized by both American allies and adversaries yesterday. Speaking at a White House news conference alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump outlined a plan for the U.S. to assume ownership of Gaza's redevelopment to transform the war-torn region into what he described as the Riviera of the Middle East. Netanyahu, present during the remarks, expressed approval as Trump detailed the controversial proposal, which was met with immediate backlash from the international community.
You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction and rubble.
He has a different idea. And I think it's worth paying attention to this. We're talking about it. He's exploring it with his people, with his staff. I think it's something that could change history. And it's worthwhile really pursuing this avenue.
In reactions trailing Trump's proposal, United States Representative Al Green has announced plans to introduce a motion to impeach President Donald Trump, citing his threats to invade Gaza and assist Israel in what he characterized as ethnic cleansing. Green condemned Trump's remarks, emphasizing the seriousness of the issue and criticizing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for his role in the conflict. He argued that the U.S. president, as the most powerful leader in the world, has the capacity to act on his words. Making such statements, therefore, make it dangerously assertive. Especially pledging to grassroots movements for impeachment, Green insisted that public pressure will drive the process forward. He pointed to his previous impeachment efforts, asserting that he laid the foundation before and was prepared to do so again.
Speaker, with a to whom it may concern message. To whom it may concern, ethnic cleansing in Gaza is not a joke, especially when it emanates from the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, when he has the ability to perfect what he says. Ethnic cleansing in Gaza is no joke, and the Prime Minister of Israel should be ashamed, knowing the history of his people, to stand there and allow such things to be said. Ethnic cleansing has been a crime against humanity. And I stand here today in the well to denounce what was said, to denounce what the president said, to denounce the complicity of the Prime Minister of Israel, and to remind people that Dr. King was right. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And injustice in Gaza is a threat to justice in the United States of America. I rise to announce that the movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done. I also rise to say that the impeachment movement is going to be a grass-up movement, not a top-down. The people have got to move forward. The people have to demand it. And when the people demand it, it will be done. I did it before. I laid the foundation for impeachment, and it was done. Nobody knows more about it than I. And I know that it's time for us to lay the foundation again. On some issues, it is better to stand alone.
Meanwhile, Palestinians in the besieged Gaza Strip on Wednesday also strongly rejected Donald Trump's remarks, suggesting that this could be permanently resettled and that the U.S. might stage a long-term takeover of the vacated region. And at least 17 students have died in a devastating fire outbreak in northern Nigeria's Zamfara state on Tuesday night, leaving 16 others injured. The blaze, which lasted for about 3 hours, reportedly started due to stored sticks, locally known as kara. Eyewitnesses described the harrowing scene, with residents initially believing students had been evacuated, only to later discover remains burned beyond recognition. The 17 victims have been buried while local authorities continue to assess the situation. The local government chairman, Comrade Manu Muzau, confirmed the incident and stated that he was en route to the scene for further investigation. Abba. And also 11 people, including the gunman, were killed in Sweden's worst mass shooting, which took place at an adult center education on the outskirts of Örebro, approximately 200 kilometers west of Stockholm. At least 5 others sustained serious injuries and loss.
Avlidna, och vi fortsätter ett intensivt utredningsarbete för att förstå omständigheterna kring honom och försöka skapa bilden av om fler är inblandade. Vårt mål är ju att bygga en robust utredning för att gå i mål med det här så bra som möjligt. Något som är viktigt för oss är ju att få information, bilder, filmer eller andra uppgifter som kan hjälpa oss i den här utredningen. Med hjälp av det kan vi skaffa oss en helhetsbild som vi behöver för vårt fortsatta utredningsarbete. Jag ska också säga så här att när poliser kommer till plats så hörs det skottlossning. Uppfattningen är också att de blir beskjutna initialt. När sen söket genomförs in i lokalerna så anträffar man då den här gärningspersonen avliden.
And Rwandan-backed M23 rebels have taken control of Nyabibwe, a mining town in southern Kivu province, Eastern Democratic Republic, of Congo, in what appears to be a violation of unilateral ceasefire. They declared earlier this week, according to 8 sources yesterday, that the town's capture brings the rebels closer to the Bukavu, the provincial capital, located about 70 kilometers south. This development comes despite M23's assurance last week that they had no plans to seize the city. The fall of Nyabibwe was confirmed by local officials, as a civil society leader said clashes began at 5 a.m. and by 9 a.m. the town had fallen to the rebels. Still to come on Newsbeat, Trump signs executive orders banning transgender women from female sports. That's after the break. Please stay with us. You're still watching Newsbeat on Green Growth TV. Every new year comes with differing weather seasons. This year, however, Nigerians may need to buckle up as the Nigerian Meteorological Agency has predicted high-intensity rain, likely resulting to flash floods between May and June 2025 in coastal cities of the country. The Nigerian Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, made this disclosure while presenting the annual climate predictions for the year 2025 in Abuja, the nation's capital, revealing that the onset of rain is predicted to be delayed over the northern and central states, and temperatures are expected to rise above the long-term average across the country. While concluding his presentation, Mr. Festus Keyamo advised persons engaged in rainfed agriculture and other rainfall-dependent activities to refer to the predicted onset dates in the seasonal climate prediction document or consult the Nigerian Meteorological Agency for further details.
Over recent years, we have continued to observe unprecedented weather patterns that have tested our preparedness and resilience. From consistent warmer than normal temperatures to flash floods, the extremes of our climate are increasingly evident. These events serve as reminders that we must remain vigilant and proactive. We must continue to invest in sustainable practices, strengthen our infrastructure, and support communities that are most vulnerable to climate change impacts. Our seasonal climate predictions are not just about forecasting, they are about shaping our response to challenges ahead.
And Madagascar is also bracing for the impact of tropical cyclone Fida, expected to make landfall on its northern coast on February 4th, while still recovering from the devastation caused by a previous storm, Elvis, which reportedly claimed at least 5 lives. According to a report from the European Civil Protection and Humanitarian Aid Operations, the fatalities from Cyclone Elvis occurred due to lightning events. In the Vohibato district in eastern Madagascar, 2 others sustained injuries during the storm. Elvis formed the Mozambique Channel on January 28th and made landfall on Madagascar's southwestern coast the following day, bringing heavy rainfalls and strong winds, particularly in the country's southern regions. As Madagascar prepares for Fida's arrival, authorities are monitoring weather conditions and assessing the ongoing recovery efforts from the previous cyclone. And in a bid to provide respite for the people of Borno State, Nigeria, who suffered from flooding last year, Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the reconstruction and extension of the Alau Dam in Borno State at the cost of 80 billion naira. The president gave the approval during the Federal Executive Council meeting, chaired in the nation's capital house, Abuja. The Minister of Water Resources, Joseph Utsev, confirmed this while briefing the State House correspondent following the second FEC meeting of the year on Tuesday, announcing that the first component of the work is expected to be established between now and July this year.
For the construction of and rehabilitation of Alau Dam has been done by Mr. President, which is awaiting the ratification of the Federal Executive Council when all other due process are being observed.
And in no shocking turn, the Trump administration has implemented sweeping changes at the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, putting dozens of senior officials on leave, laying off thousands of contractors, and freezing billions in humanitarian aid to the foreign nations. The sudden overhaul has left 8 organizations uncertain about the future of critical programs, including nutritional assistance for malnourished children. Secretary of the State Marco Rubio has taken steps to allow certain life-saving emergency programs to continue, but confusion over exemptions and concerns about permanently losing U.S. funding have stalled humanitarian and development work worldwide. USAID's Washington headquarters has also been closed to employees, and its website and official account on X have been taken down, reflecting the administration's broader crackdown on the federal agencies and foreign aid programs. And Colombian President Gustavo Petro has directed the state-run oil company Ecopetrol to terminate its joint venture with U.S.-owned Occidental Petroleum, OXY, a project expected to produce around 90,000 barrels of oil per day. Citing environmental concerns, Petro opposed the agreement, which involved oil extraction through fracking, a method heavily criticized by environmental groups. In a nationally televised speech, Petro condemned the practice, stating that he is against fracking because fracking is the death of nature and the death of humanity. Ecopetrol had on Monday announced that it would renew its partnership with OXY in the Permian Basin, a major oil-producing region spanning Texas and New Mexico, investing over $880 billion to develop 91 oil wells. However, Petro's decision signals a firm stance against fossil fuel expansion and a push towards cleaner energy alternatives. And in the exciting world of sports, Ronaldo, the former Real Madrid star, who now plays in Saudi Arabia, turned 40 yesterday, determined to prove that life begins at 40. In an interview on the eve of his birthday, he says that he has no doubt who should be considered the best soccer player ever, referring to himself as the greatest scorer in history. The prodigal star holds the most scoring record in men's international soccer, including most appearances with 227 and most goals with 135. Ronaldo is now hoping to push his limits even further as he enters his 40s and shows no sign of retiring soon. And still on the sports scene, President Donald Trump signed an executive order yesterday barring transgender girls and women from participating in female-designated sports teams and competitions. The directive set for immediate enforcement in schools nationwide is framed by Republicans as a move to restore fairness in athletics. The directive also calls on the State Department to pressure the International Olympic Committee to ban transgender athletes from competing with the U.S., vowing to use its authority to enforce the policy at the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. A White House official justified the move by citing thousands of complaints about the transgender athletes in women's sports. And that's it on Sport News and on the Newsbit at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tonio Gubanjo. It's bye for now.